Taylor Treasure.
Hello.
And welcome. Welcome to the show. So today we have a guest on the show.
Guesting.
Yes, and he's been on the show before. This is our Uncle John. So welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Yay.
Hi. Thank you very much. Thank you. This is the first time I've been on the show when Laura's joined us. This is great.
That is right.
Yeah.
Finally,
Yes.
I'm here.
He has been on twice before, which we'll link above if you want to watch those. This is his third time, but yeah, we're all together.
That's right.
For the first time, so this will be a lot of fun. So, do you want to just briefly explain what we'll be talking about today?
Sure. So, just a little backstory. Lucia surprised me with a Christmas gift, and it was a t-shirt, which I'm wearing, which I will show you what it is. It's the famous MTV mascot and logo, and this is like from way back in the day.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? We should do a show on the 80s, because that's when MTV came out, and they were at their prime and everything, and so that's what I'm here to talk about. The majority of it is going to be about music, but I'll bring up a couple other things too.
Okay.
And I did want to mention, so I'm excited that you mentioned I was here twice before, so this is number 3 of 44.
That's right. 44, right.
44 appearances.
44, yeah. Right.
And for those keeping score at home, this is visit number 2.
2, right.
By me.
Yeah.
By me. 2 of how many?
43, I think.
I think it's 44.
44, okay.
Well, we can go back and check this.
Yeah. Oh, right.
1 of 44 is the plan.
Okay.
So I also wanted to tell you, going back to the last show, I have tissues.
Yeah, was it we didn't have any last time? Is that what happened?
Well, the first episode you didn't. The second one you did. You just said the same thing. You had, I have tissues.
Oh, okay. I wanted to let you know that we do have a box of tissues
Awesome.
this time.
Tissues. Awesome. Great.
right.
Thank you.
Good, we got them.
We fixed it
Yes.
from the first time, or you did.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so you want me to jump right into it?
Definitely, yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about, like I said, the 80s. The majority of it is going to be music since it was MTV that inspired it. And I wanted to show you something I found actually not too long ago. And I probably got this around 1984. And it's very timely. Check this out.
Oh, that's really cool.
Well, there you go. Same logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like from when they first came out. So yeah, they've kept the logo.
Is that a
Now,
bumper
MT
sticker? What is that?
It is. It is
Oh,
a bumper
okay.
sticker that has not been peeled.
Awesome.
Very neat.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So one other thing I wanted to mention about the 80s. So I graduated high school in 1982, and I graduated college in 1987. And don't count that up because that means I went to college for 5 years. But shh. But basically, I kind of grew up in the 80s, if you will. So this is kind of like my era. Okay. So I'm excited to talk about it today. So like I said, we'll talk mostly about music, but I want to mention a few movies, and I do want to give a shout out to our friends over at BINGSandME. They have, I learned that they're doing sort of a trivia contest thing, and I thought, well, why don't we do that too?
Yeah.
So I'm going to build in, I think it's 10 trivia questions related to the music and the movies, and we'll talk about how we'll go about taking care of that. But I will have a trivia question, not on everything, but on certain things. Most of them are probably kind of challenging, so we'll see how we do.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
As a matter of fact, I know it's going to be a little bit of time from the time we record to when this goes live, as well as some people may not even watch it for a couple weeks. So we thought we'd give it like 2 or 3 weeks for people to respond to the trivia questions if they so desire. It is a contest, and we will have a special prize for the winner. And you want to tell them about submitting the responses, Lucia?
Yeah, so we're going to play the game here on the show, but you can also play too. And what you can do is you can email your answers to our email, which we'll have right here. And you can have a certain amount of time to put it in, which is how long are you going to give them from when the episode is uploaded?
I don't know. We said, what, like 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, I think about 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll have 3 weeks to give your answers.
Oh, so we're not going to get the answers.
No, not on this
No,
episode.
So we're not going to know if we got it right or not. Okay.
No.
I get it now.
All right.
Well, isn't that kind of how BINGSandME did it too?
Yeah, that's how they did. They didn't give the answers until everybody wrote in. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, also before I start all my artifacts, I wanted to show you my water mug for this evening. This is an airline that existed in the 1980s and a little bit further. But then, I think I mentioned this in a previous episode that I was on. Then they became U.S. Airways, and now they're part of American Airlines. But this is definitely from the 1980s.
Okay, cool.
I know we like to have our water mugs. So.
Yeah, right.
So I have had a really challenging time because I have a ton of albums and a ton of CDs, and just trying to find, I know my time is limited, and just trying to find, just a handful to talk about was really challenging. So some of these may be my favorite. They may not be, but they're representative of the 1980s. So just keep in mind that I have a lot more.
Okay.
and there's so much music that I won't even have time to touch on.
Tip of the iceberg.
Right.
There you go. And this will give you a flavor of things, and it'll be fun to do the trivia. Okay, so my first artist here, probably heard of him, is
Good old Bruce.
Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
Yep. He actually his career, I would say, professionally with recording albums and whatnot, started in the 70s, but he's still relevant today. He actually just brought out an album, which is fantastic. But he came to his peak in the 1980s, actually with this album called Born in the USA. And this had many hits, and he was just huge around 1984, 85 especially.
Okay.
But so we'll start off with an easy question. So he's Bruce Springsteen, and most of his albums say Bruce Springsteen, but he actually has a band too, and it's Bruce Springsteen and my trivia question is, what's the name of his band?
Oh boy.
Bruce
I know I've heard it.
and I don't know this one.
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like I've heard it, but I don't know.
Yeah, and by the way, for the folks playing at home, you're going to have 3 weeks to respond to this if you so desire. And I know it's going to be easy to Google it, but see if you can do this without
Don't
Googling.
Google
Yeah,
it.
no Googling.
No Googling.
No
No cheating.
Yeah.
All right, so the next band I wanted to talk about, which was also...
Well, do we have to
again,
guess? Do we have to guess first, or are we just hearing the questions?
I think we're just going to hear the questions
Okay.
for the sake of
Got it.
time.
Okay.
And then you can submit an entry as well.
Okay, all right.
Got it.
Cool.
Okay, another band that's still relevant today, but actually their career started and they exploded in the 1980s. Is a band I'm sure you've heard of, U2.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. And oh, by the way, I wanted to mention some of these bands. I wanted to indicate how many times I've seen them. So Bruce Springsteen, I've seen, I believe, 7 times over the
Okay.
years, and U2, I've seen 3 times, which is pretty cool.
That is neat.
Yeah, so they had a lot of hits in the 80s, and that's really when they got their start. And they are from Dublin, Ireland. And so my question is, what part of Dublin are they from? And they're kind of proud. Sometimes they'll say this during a show, we're from part of Dublin.
Okay.
Okay. I'm proud of it.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so the next album, I would be remiss if I did not mention this album because it was the biggest selling album of the 80s, and it's up there of all time too. This is
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Michael Jackson Thriller.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
And I mean, it was massive. It was huge.
I'm actually a big
And,
fan of that one for sure. I like
It
that
was a
album.
good album.
Yeah,
It was a good
yeah.
album. Wait till you hear my trivia question. But I did want to mention that I was looking at the back of all the songs. There are 7 songs out of 10 that were top 40 hits.
Wow. That's,
Good for
that's
him.
impressive.
Yeah, you don't have that. You don't have that.
Yeah.
So he does a duet on here with Paul McCartney. But my trivia question is not Paul McCartney. It's somebody else. So my question is, what rock star from another big 80s band played on this album? And again, he's not Paul McCartney, but somebody else quite famous.
Somebody else
And
not Paul McCartney.
Okay.
not Paul McCartney. And actually, I'll give you folks a hint. Some people that my age will already know the answer, but unfortunately, he actually passed away this year.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. No, I never saw Michael Jackson, so I didn't have any times I saw him.
Okay.
Another person that had a ton of hits is Billy Joel.
Yep.
Yep, definitely.
Okay.
And I actually did some research. All of these may not have been in the 80s, but he's had 33 top 40 hits.
Wow.
That's quite impressive.
That
is.
But a big chunk of them have been in the 80s, and I have seen him twice. My trivia question for him is, what venue or location in New York City is currently known as the Billy Joel Residency?
Okay.
Because he plays there sometimes 5 nights a week for 2 months straight.
Wow.
Then he'll take a break. He's been doing this for a couple of years now, so
Okay.
I'm excited to see how many people get that. But
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever been there?
I've been close. Let's put it that way. I've never been inside. Never been inside.
Okay.
You've been close.
Okay.
I've been very close many times.
Okay.
When we get to the point when I share the answers, I'll tell you why I say very close. But if I told you now, I'd be giving the answer away.
I see.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So I can't wait to get to this trivia question. But this is another person that had her glory days in the 80s is Cyndi Lauper.
Okay.
She's had many hits, but she's most known for her song "Girls Just Want to Have Fun,"
Yeah.
Yeah, heard that
which
one.
came in. And actually, one of her first shows ever was in this rock and roll club in Oakland called The Decade, which is no longer around, but I used to go to a lot when I was in college. And I saw her there at like one of her first shows ever, which
Oh, wow.
was,
Oh,
which was
interesting.
cool.
That's
Yeah,
really
I was
cool.
there. So here, this is probably my funniest question. So Cyndi Lauper, I don't know if you've noticed this, but she's currently can be seen on a television advertisement for a certain medication. You know, those medications that have these goofy names to them.
Yeah.
Advikio and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we won't be worried about the name, but the question is, what ailment or medical condition is this medication for? And she's clearly on the commercial indicating that it has helped her. So.
Okay.
So the next group I want to bring up is another band that was really big in the 80s. They were huge, was The Police.
Okay.
And they had many hits in the 80s, and coincidentally, they only had 4 albums, and then pretty much over the course of a decade. And then they broke up. And I did see them once in 1982. So, and the lead singer, his name is Sting. I don't know if that rings a bell.
Yes, I know who that
But
is.
yeah.
he went on to a pretty successful solo career as well.
Yeah.
So my trivia question for this is, how did Sting get his nickname of Sting?
Okay. All right.
That's
And
an
there's-
interesting one.
That is.
There's a story behind that. There is.
Okay.
Okay, so we got to talk about, I mentioned this guy during the autograph show, Donnie Iris.
Yep.
He's a local Pittsburgh legend, and he's had some he's had a couple top 40 hits. I think one of his songs went to number 2 at one point. But he's loved around this region for many, many years. And, actually, every once in a while, I think he still plays. I've probably seen him, no kidding, 25 times.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so many different venues, from theaters in Oakland to Gateway Clipper to casino, little clubs, and yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
So my trivia question for him is, so in the 60s, he was in a band, and this band had a number 1 top 40 hit nationally. And my question is a 2-part question. What's the name of the song, and what's the name of the band?
Okay.
All right.
And you'll still hear this song on the radio, actually.
Okay.
Okay. Well, here's an interesting fact. I actually take care of 2 little cats, and their names are Donnie and Iris. So, there you go.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, so let's take a pause. We're pretty much done with music right now. Let's talk about movies for a second. And even though I'm pulling out an album because it's a soundtrack of a movie, and this is just an example of a genre of movies that was really big in the 80s. This is a movie called 16 Candles.
Okay.
And there was a lot of movies about teens and people in their 20s. And actually, this one person that directed, produced, wrote, his name was John Hughes, and he had a bunch of hits. The Breakfast Club,
Oh, yeah.
St. Elmo's Fire, all those were
Yeah.
very big,
Oh,
very big in
definitely,
the
yeah.
80s. And there were other ones like that as well.
Actually, I just want
so I-
to say one thing. It's interesting that you bring up 16 Candles, because later we have a segment called The News, which they know about, and it's actually going to tie into that a little bit. We're going to talk about 16 Candles, so it's really cool you brought that up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I don't have any particular trivia on that, but I just wanted to bring out the popularity of those type of movies in the 80s. Another one. This is the only CD that I'm bringing to the show today.
Okay.
This is a movie that actually came out in the 90s, The Wedding Singer, with Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler. But the cool thing is, looking at all the music on the back, it's all from the 80s. And I forget if the movie was supposed to take place in the 80s or they just chose it because it was those two people's favorite kind of music. But it's a really good collection of 80s music, especially, over to my record albums and CDs, which I had to limit. This is a good sampling. Again, no trivia on that, but I wanted to mention that.
Okay.
One final movie I wanted to mention, and this is going back away. This is Laura and Lucia. You probably heard of this. Arthur.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Yeah. This is a family favorite, and look at this. This is on VHS tape.
Yep. Yep. Good old VHS.
Oh yeah.
So it's a family favorite. I remember this came out, I think, in 1981, somewhere around there. And I went to a movie theater with my mom, your grandma, and Aunt Caroline. And I just remember the three of us in the movie theater cracking up. Okay, so my trivia question about Arthur, and this is a good one.
Okay.
What is the connection between the movie Arthur and the movie The Wizard of Oz?
Okay. Interesting.
All right.
Okay.
I don't know the answer.
There is a connection. There is a connection.
Okay.
Okay, so I have one more album to show, and he's not last because he's a favorite or was the most popular or anything, but he's tied to a movie. So this is, I don't know if you ever heard of Billy Idol.
Yes. Yeah.
So he was very popular in the 80s, had quite a few hits and radio play, etc. And so my trivia about him, he actually made an appearance in one of the three movies I've just mentioned. So what movie was it and what role did he play?
Okay. Interesting.
Good question.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have, at this point, we have 9 trivia questions. I'm like, well, we got to get to 10. So I don't have a artifact to show for this, but I want to give an honorable mention. There's a type of music, rock and roll music, that was big in the 80s, and I very much liked. It was called arena rock. And an example is my favorite band in high school was a band called Styx, because they always played arenas, and it was, like I said, it was my favorite in high school, and it actually was my first rock concert too I ever went to. So my trivia question is, name 2 other bands from that era that would be considered arena rock, and I'll be the judge of that.
Okay.
For the responses.
Okay.
So that's everything I had planned, but I wanted to say one more thing if I could.
Okay.
This actually doesn't go back to the 80s, but when I came on the Autograph Show, we talked about Dawn Wells from Gilligan's Island, who we even said she was having a very good life. And unfortunately, in the past year, she passed away. So I just wanted to honor her on that.
Yeah.
So that's Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island. So I wanted to
Right, I
mention
did
that.
hear about that. That's too bad that she did pass away.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Too bad, yeah.
All right.
So anyways, that's everything I got planned. What's next?
All right, so now that we finished that, we wanted to let you know that there will be a separate video with the answers that will come out in 3 weeks from this episode. So it won't be in this one, but there will be an episode of him, or not an episode, but just a short video of him telling the answers.
So you will get your answers.
Yes.
See how you did.
Yes.
And there is a prize, right?
There is.
Am I right on that?
There is a prize.
Okay.
There's
All
a
right.
prize.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this was awesome. So now we're going to go over to the news, and then we're going to come back for the Taylor Treasure Box. So we can head over to the news.
Okay.
Okay, so yesterday I went to see 16 Candles, and you guys, it was so totally tubular. I was with Stephanie. Love Stephanie. So I totally see myself as like Samantha, you know? I'm just over it all. Like school, barf me out. Also, like, Jake is so totally hot. Like, can you give me his number? That dark brown hair and his brown dreamy eyes. I can't even call me Jake. I love you. Also, side note, Ted is a total dweeb. Okay, bye.
So, Jessica totally brought to our attention that Brandon down on 4th Street was totes wigging out on Jennifer because she told him that Chris said that Johnny heard Nancy say that she heard Kevin's best friend Kyle. He thinks that Def Leppard's jams are totally bomb diggity, and Brandon just about lost his noggin. Brandon says that he thinks that the Smiths are very, very more wicked. The last update we heard was that Jennifer was telling Brandon to take a chill pill. Just between us, cool cats, Duran Duran is totes funky fresh. I know, you agree with me, don't you? Yeah. So, but please don't squeal on me and tell Brandon, because he would say, gag me with a spoon. Am I right? Yeah, we all know Brandon would do that. So just don't tell him, because I'd be totally warped. Okay, gotta bounce. Bye! And now it is time for the Taylor Treasure Box. Here it is.
Let's see what we get.
Okay, so we'll pick one out for you. So for you, we have tell a random fact about yourself.
A random fact about myself.
Yeah, you can think about that while we read ours off if you want. All right.
I already got the answer.
Oh, you do? Okay, you can say it.
Go for it.
Okay.
Okay, so going back to Bruce Springsteen, right at the time when this album came out and he was just starting to hit his peak. Remember I mentioned that club in Oakland called The Decade?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Pitt, and I was in college there. And I was there on a Thursday night and seeing my favorite local band. And I stayed for the first 2 sets, but then I had to work the next day. And I was with a friend, and we decided to leave before the 3rd set. So the next day, I'm at work, and we have the radio on. And they mentioned that last night at the Decade, Bruce Springsteen jumped on stage with the band and played with them. And I'm like, no, he didn't. I was there. And I'm like,
You left.
You left.
No.
And I was a huge Bruce fan and still am. So it took me 10 years of therapy to get over that.
You're like, man.
Yeah, you just missed him. That's really interesting.
There you go.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for that. All right, so we will read ours now. And I have a Would You Rather, and it said, would you rather put your hand in hot coals or freezing water? So,
How cold is this water?
I would, pretty freezing. Pretty cold.
Because it would become ice at some point.
Yeah. So I think I'd rather put it in freezing water. I think I'd rather do that than the hot coals. Because I feel like there would be, less damage than hot coals.
Yeah, hot coals would really burn you, I think.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the freezing water.
If you ever meet somebody that said they'd rather do hot coals, I would just stay away from them.
Yeah.
Good point.
Good point, yeah.
All right, I also have a Would You Rather, and it says, would you rather eat shrimp or scallops? I'll go shrimp.
Like shrimp better?
I do.
Okay.
I'm a shrimp person.
Yeah, I think I would rather go with shrimp.
You know, it's funny for that little Zoom thing we did this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
My Chinese food, I had a bowl of seafood soup, and it had shrimp, scallops, lobster, and crab in it.
Oh, wow.
That sounds
It was
quite
awesome.
That
good.
sounds really good, yeah.
It was awesome, yeah.
All right. Well, we have come to the end of the episode. We just want to thank you so much for coming on. This
Yes,
is really
thank you.
interesting. Yeah. And we are just to remind people for the answers, you can send it to our email, and you can answer up to 3 weeks from today. And then after
Get
that,
your answers in.
Yes, and after that, we will show you the answers, and whoever gets the most will win this prize. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and are you ready to say it? Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Ready?
1, 2, 3. I want my
MTV.
All right. Bye. See ya.
Bye.
Well, thank you so much to Uncle John for
That was
coming
awesome.
on. That was so
Thank
much
you.
fun. Yeah, we loved hearing about the 80s and seeing all the music. So thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And remember, guys, if you want to enter to win that prize, that special prize, you have 3 weeks from today to enter to answer all those questions, and you can email us at taylortreasuresltlt@gmail.com. And whoever gets the most right wins, and you get a prize.
Oh boy.
So, wow. Okay.
It's on.
Okay. Well, thanks again for coming on, Uncle John. And make sure to give this video a like and a comment. And make sure to subscribe. And after you subscribe, make sure to press the bell so you get all of our videos in your notifications box.
Subscribe.
Yes, and you can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, which is @TaylorTreasuresOfficial. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching that episode.
Thank you for watching.
If you'd like to subscribe down here, you can subscribe.
Follow the hairspray.
The hairspray.
Subscribe to the hairspray.
Subscribe here.
Subscribe.
Ooh, and then there's a video here. Remember, subscribe here. Subscribe. Actually, that's not the subscribe. Watch this video.
Whatever's over here. Just you know what? Do it. Go do it.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.